Is homemade pudding, only I am making coconut cream pie. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. I want coconut cream pie. I don't care if anybody brings anything or gives me any gifts. I want coconut cream pie. I'm having coconut cream pie. So, I have all my ingredients, and I would say any of you could make this at home. And I don't mean out of a box with milk, stir it, and you're done. No, this is cooking your pudding, okay? Your grandmas will remember this. Um, Most of you guys have never had homemade pudding. It tastes different, I'm going to tell you right now. But I think it's richer. I think it's better. And so that's what I'm making my coconut cream pie with. So I know this is backwards, but this is cornstarch. This is about the only thing you wouldn't have at home to make this. Okay, so if you want to try this at home, you just need to have some cornstarch, eggs, milk. Okay, there are no onions in this, by the way. Just so I tell you, I know you guys are starting to worry, right? Sugar. Most of y'all have sugar, and vanilla, and butter. Now, I know some of you are not coconut fans. That's okay. It's actually vanilla pudding. It's only coconut because I throw the coconut in. And if you get a recipe like this in the Better Homes and Garden Cookbook, okay, and I will post it below the video. In here it also tells me how to make a banana cream pie. So I make vanilla pudding, only I put bananas in it. You know, not rocket science. And then there is a separate one for lemon meringue and another one for chocolate. Okay, and the chocolate's the only one you're really gonna very much. Yes, VARY much. Okay. So, I also have out here a pizza pan that I put some parchment paper on because I'm going to have to put this in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes at the end. And I don't want it spilling everywhere. It's just to keep it from making a mess. Okay? I already did my pie shell. And I told you before when we did pot pies, and I just lost some of my shell. I don't make my own shells. I tried teaching this in school for several years, and I just lost my mind, and so I said forget it. But if you look, okay, this is a frozen pie shell, and it's got some holes in it. Okay, this is where I took a fork and I poked it all the way around. If you don't do that when you bake it ahead of time, it kind of sort of bubbles. Okay, so this is ready to go. All I need to do is to make the pudding. Okay, so hang on, and I'm going to get us started real quick. Maybe. Okay, so I already put 2 1/4 cups in here. One of the things that I like to do in my sugar container is I keep a 1/4 cup measurement in here because it sort of accommodates any measurement I'm going to be doing. And this is one that I always look at the recipe and I always measure accurately, okay? And so this called for 3/4 of a cup of sugar, so I just used it 3 times. But I keep that 1/4 cup in there all the time. Most of my measurements are gonna need a 1/4 cup or 1/4 cup increment. All right, now cornstarch. The one thing about cornstarch, you do not want to pack it. Cornstarch and cocoa, okay? You want to scoop loosely, and if this is like kind of compacted, I want to kind of loosen it up before I do that. Okay, and so I just put a 1/4 cup of cornstarch and 3/4 of a cup of sugar in here, and it says, and I'm going to gradually stir in the milk. Here is your winning ticket. Okay, the whisk, just like we did with our gravy. We're going to use the whisk. And I'm just going to slowly add this to my pan. And notice I'm not even on the stove yet, okay? What I'm doing here is I'm separating the starch again so I don't get lumps. That's going to be one of my main problems I want to avoid is lumps. The other one I'm going to want to avoid is curdling or scorching the milk. So I want to cook it low, and I want to stir constantly the whole time it's cooking so that it doesn't stick to the bottom. If it happens to stick to the bottom, stop stirring the bottom, okay? And then you can just wash it later. But if you start scraping it after it sticks, you're just going to get burnt chunks in there, and it's all going to be gross, okay? So I'm going to put these together, and I'm going to cook and stir over medium heat, or medium-high heat, until thick and bubbly. And then I'm going to reduce the heat, and I'm going to come back. Okay, we're good on the stove for right now. The next thing I'm going to do is separate my eggs. Now this you want to be careful with. By the way, I already poured out my vanilla. I needed a teaspoon and a half. It's in here. I did that. I'm hoping I don't forget to put it in at the very end. I also measured a tablespoon of butter. I also need to put it in at the very end with the coconut. So I'm kind of crunching all these things together so I don't forget them again. All right. So my eggs. I get out a small container here. Okay, so I'm going to put my egg whites into this bowl. I'm going to put my egg yolks into this bowl. It's the same bowl that I had my milk in. It's going to be okay. So to separate my eggs, I'm going to do this one at a time in this little bowl. Okay, I'm going to separate them, and the white's going to go into here. I'm going to make sure there's no yolk. It can have no yolk. None. Zero, zilch. Any yolk, you're done. Okay? Throw it out. Start all over. So. Okay. I just cracked it. I'm going to break it apart. Okay? And I'm going to swish it back and forth. If the yolk breaks, stop swishing it back and forth, okay? That's how I know my yolk is okay, is when I do that. All right, so my yolk is in this bowl. My white I'm going to put in this bowl, and I'm going to do another egg. Same thing. One crisp snap on the egg shell it helps it to not break so easily. Okay, I know some of you are getting grossed out by this. I don't care. Get grossed out. So that's my second egg yolk and egg white separated. Now see, I hit that one twice. Now it's cracking all over the place. I'm hoping I don't get shell in it. But this is the other thing. It's easy to get the shell out at this point. That one. What's ideal is when I put them in this other bowl, that I end up with 4 whole yolks. That means that my whites are perfect. If you get any yolk in there, you're going to lose the meringue that we're going to make later to go on top. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Let me stop. Maybe, if it'll let me. No, I got egg all over my fingers. Just a minute. Okay, here, I'll just show you. So I have 4 perfect, you can see them better there, egg yolks, okay? And the rest of it is in here, this little bit of egg white. I'll show you what to do with it in just a minute. Okay, so my pudding is almost finished. I turned it way down. It's starting to get thick and bubbly. The cornstarch helps it get thick, but the only 3 ingredients: sugar, cornstarch, milk. Okay, so I have my egg whites in here. I'm also putting in here a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla into that same bowl with the egg whites. The recipe also calls for cream of tartar, although this works without cream of tartar, and I don't happen to have any here, so I'm going to do it without cream of tartar. and 6 tablespoons of sugar, which is 1/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons, and I'll get to that. And you're just going to mix it with this until it starts getting foamy and thick. And I'm going to do that. You don't want to listen to this. Okay, so I've you remember that liquid egg white that was in here? It now looks like this. It kind of looks like Cool Whip. Now, the directions say to stir until soft peaks form. And these are starting to get a little stiff, but soft peaks are when the peaks just kind of flip over. Stiff peaks are when they stand up straight, kind of like those were. And then you gradually add in your sugar, a little bit at a time, so that it dissolves in the egg whites. Okay. So I have this on a lower speed while I'm adding the sugar. I'll finish this and come back. Okay, my egg whites are finished, but I'll get back to those in just a minute because we need this right now. Okay, so this got hot and thick and bubbly, and I'm going to add it to these yolks. Okay, so I'm going to gently stir those just a little bit. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drizzle a little bit of the hot liquid into the egg yolks. This is called tempering. This is really important because what you suppose is going to happen if I add this whole hot liquid, pan of hot liquid into a cold egg. Scrambled eggs, yes. I don't want scrambled eggs in my pudding. That's gross. So I'm going to add about a cup or so to this. Okay. And so that's all gotten warmed up. I'm going to set this here for a second. Okay. And then I'm going to slowly add it into the pan. Scrape my bowl, get it all out. This is why this is so good. It makes it really, really rich. Okay. Now I have to put this back on the stove for a couple minutes so the eggs can cook thoroughly. And I'll be right back. We'll finish up. Okay, we are in the final stage. Okay. So I have my pudding that's already here. I'm going to add my, and it's off the heat, so I don't have to worry about burning it at this point. Put my vanilla in and my butter. Of course, the butter has to melt, but that's okay. All right. And I just want to kind of stir that up. It won't take long for this butter to melt. So I'm going to put this hot liquid into this cooled pie shell. Okay. Now this will continue to thicken up. As it cools completely. All right, so I'm not worried about it. I'm going to fill it up. I'm going to have a little extra left over. I know that's going to make me really sad that I have this pudding in here that I guess I'm going to have to eat it. I don't know what else to do with it. Do you? All right. And then I'm going to take a rubber scraper because I want to do this very gently. Okay? See my egg whites? They're stiff. You don't want to beat the beaters. Okay? The best way to do this, oh, there I go, is like this. Okay? I don't want to beat the bowl. So, see if I can do this so you can see better. I'm going to gently lay dollops of this around the edges. I don't want to fill my pie all the way up because you can see it's kind of raising the level of the pie. Okay, so I needed a little bit of room here, call that headroom, for the meringue to sit on here, although the meringue is very light because I took what was probably about a half a cup of egg whites, maybe 3/4 of a cup, and I whipped them into several cups of egg whites. But notice how gentle I'm being, because if you get too rough with this, you're gonna like make all the air go out of it. All right. I've never been super good at this. There's some grandma watching me that's going to be like, oh, that's not the way I do it. But you want to get the egg whites to touch the side of the pie shell. Now, I know some of you are not meringue fans. Some of you are. You could just put Cool Whip on top of this. And you could use 2 whole eggs instead of 4 egg yolks that you're going to split up. Okay? But what I'm doing is when this touches the whole side of the pie shell, okay, I'm sealing this in. So I'm keeping the air in there. I'm not good at making this beautiful, okay? Some people like make little swirls. Yeah, no, not me. It looks silly, and I don't do it. Okay, now, one last thing. Where's my coconut? There it is. I'm going to sprinkle a little coconut on top. I like to do this, especially if you're making more than one kind of pie. Like if I'm going to make banana cream and coconut. I want people to know that it's coconut. Okay? So you put the coconut on top. Plus it kind of browns it and it's really great. All right. So this is going in the oven for a few minutes. When it comes out, it's going to be golden brown and yummy.